So it's Friday today, Megan, and we opened talking about the House passing the Equality Act yesterday. And, you know, QAnon nutbag Marjorie Taylor Greene, um, uh, harassing a fellow representative who have offices across the hall from each other. Um, and so you talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene um, and her stunt about putting a sign outside her colleague's office about there only being two genders, male and female. Follow the science. Um, and you mention that you hate political theater, and that's what that was. She's not on any committees. She's just a rank and file congressperson, as you described her. So she doesn't have any power except for the power of attention, right? Through Twitter to get her, as you pointed out, the first topic on The View. And so you say you can't stand political theater, which is an interesting thing to say, given the fact that for the last 4 years at least, pretty much everything that Republicans have done in every televised committee meeting, every confirmation hearing, every impeachment trial has been political theater. They just get up and propagandize, stomp their feet, and there's nothing substantive about what the Republicans have offered in any kind of discussion forum on Capitol Hill that we've seen on TV at all. That has all been political theater, but I don't see you getting mad about them. And I believe it was just yesterday when you said about CPAC, which is a huge deal within the Republican Party and within the conservative circles, about how much you were looking forward to disgraced, twice impeached former President Trump's speech at CPAC. You said, get your popcorn and pour yourself some whiskey, because that's going to be a fun one. Isn't that political theater? That seems, for you to say you hate political theater, is really disingenuous. And then you talk about how the conservatives have been allies to the LGBTQ community, even though yesterday there were only 3 Republicans in the entire House that voted for the Equality Act. And you have the nerve to say that Republicans are allies to the LGBTQ community. It's hard to get all the letters in. And especially when so many of the Republican lawmakers not only aren't voting for it, but are actively campaigning against equality, specifically transgender. They're very upset with the T in LGBT, and it's ignorance and education and bigotry and feeding the whole base of bullshit, asshole, homophobic, transphobic, racist, misogynist pigs that are in your party, and so no, you can't say that conservatives do a lot of great work for the LGBTQ community when something as simple as including them in the Civil Rights Act, which is really what the Equality Act does, is something they won't vote for. And you mentioned your friend Adam Kitzinger, is that his name, from Illinois, who denounced Marjorie Taylor Greene, is how you said. Well, what kind of ally is he? He still voted against the Equality Act. So that's a weird way to say, he stands up for us. Fuck that. So no, your point is moot. And then we had a COVID discussion. I was surprised you didn't ask the doctor about, protocol after getting a shot, because you, Meghan McCain, co-host of The View, still don't know when you're going to get vaccinated. And you were so mad about it on Monday. But when you had an opportunity to talk about vaccination rollout, or protocols after the vaccinations, which he did address. So maybe you listened. I mean, I know the questions are chosen in advance, but maybe you have learned since Monday that just because you got a vaccine, it doesn't mean you get to go run around willy-nilly. We need enough people to be vaccinated and enough of the virus to be out of the community spread to make that safe. But I don't even remember what you asked him, because it didn't hit any of your buttons. But maybe your big outburst on Monday, I believe it was Monday, when you decried not being able to get your vaccine, maybe that was just talk show theater. Maybe part of your indignation that you display for your time on TV every day. You're on TV every day on apparently the #1 daytime program on television. And maybe a lot of what you're doing is just performative. Maybe. You, who decries political theater, spends your entire existence being theatrical.